And our second main topic today gets sent in to us from the Geeky Gator, who writes, "Hey, John and gang. We recently heard Disney isn't going to be showing Netflix ads on the channels like FX or ABC. However, the Oscars are aired on ABC, at least this year. Do you think it is fair for Netflix, who is trying to get awards credibility, to not be able to advertise during the biggest awards ceremony?" All right. So for those of you who may be a little bit behind in this and aren't quite sure what Geeky Gator is talking about, so it came out the other day, and we talked about it on the show the other day. Netflix, Disney, there are some exceptions, but generally speaking, Disney has banned Netflix advertising on their networks, which we talked about. It's perfectly just business as normal. That is perfectly okay and perfectly industry standard. You don't see ads for ABC shows on CBS. You don't see ads for CBS shows on NBC. This is a totally normal thing. And now that Disney and Netflix are direct competitors with streaming services, they don't want to advertise Netflix stuff. Nothing wrong with that. Perfectly business as normal. But Geeky Gator brings up an interesting question here, Rob. When you get something like the Oscars that goes beyond network, right? It is the night to celebrate the world of film and the world of movies. Netflix is trying to become and has become another player in that world of movies. We have gotten Oscar involved movies from Netflix in the past. We're definitely going to have we're going to definitely have Netflix movies involved in the Oscars conversation this year for sure. So is it fair? Legal, we know, of course it's legal. But is it fair that on the biggest night of the movie year, that Netflix, a movie player, an unconventional movie player, but a movie player nonetheless, is it fair that they're not going to be able to pop on? Because other than the Super Bowl, the big time that movie studios want to purchase airtime to advertise their upcoming movies is the Oscars, because that's movie fans watching it, blah, blah, blah. Is it fair that Netflix, that you and I often criticize, does not do a good job of marketing what material they have? Is it fair that they not be allowed to showcase their wares, what they've got coming up, during the Oscar telecast? Now, remember, it's not that, because the Oscars are on ABC, Netflix films aren't allowed to be eligible for the Oscars. No, we're just talking about, should Netflix be allowed to buy commercial time during the Oscars to advertise their stuff, just like Fox and everybody else is able to do? Rob, that's the question that gets presented to us. How do you address that?
Well, first of all, as you know, John, the ad buys on both Super Bowl and the Oscars are extraordinarily expensive. Astronomically expensive. So there's not always, sometimes they even have a hard time selling advertising.
Yeah.
I think that even though the Oscars are on ABC, I'd be willing to bet you that they would allow Netflix to purchase ads, because at that point, they want the cash. I mean, the Oscars, television, remember, broadcast TV is still all about advertising dollars. That's how they make their money. And if Netflix is going to come along and say, yeah, I'm going to give you $500,000, whatever the ad buys, whatever the 30 seconds costs, whether it's $1 million, whatever. If Netflix wants to buy it, I'll bet you Disney's not going to go, no, we're not going to allow it because you're a competitor. Because Netflix, ABC has allowed non-Disney movies, competing studios movies, to advertise their products on the Oscars. It is a night where all movies are celebrated from all different companies, no matter where they come from. And I'm willing to bet you, I've said I'm willing to bet on this, that The Irishman's going to win Best Picture. I think it is.
Having not seen the movie.
I'll
be interested to know if you still have that opinion once you actually see it.
I'll be curious to see. I don't know. Having not seen the movie, I'm talking out of my behind, my very raw behind. I think The Irishman's going to win the Oscar. But so I think that there is a precedent for allowing competitive studios that aren't Disney to advertise on the Oscars. That's why I think in this case that Netflix will be allowed to do so.
I think there's two separate questions here. I think one is, will they let them do it?
Right.
And would it be fair if they didn't? Let me ask the second one first. Answer the second one first. Yeah, it's fair if they don't let them. Because Netflix, remember, this isn't a traditional movie studio per se. Netflix is also, in a way, a competitor with ABC, in a way.
Yeah.
Right? during the Oscars, again, just to go on the whole premise of competition, ABC will not be advertising CBS television shows during the Oscars. ABC will not be advertising NBC television shows during the Oscars. And would it be fair then for them to also not advertise Netflix? Absolutely. And again, I want to point out the kind of, two sides of this coin. Netflix doesn't advertise anybody else's stuff because they don't advertise at all. So, I mean, there's a little bit of a dichotomy there. Will they let it happen? See, I don't think they're going to have any problem selling out all their ad spots. Not only is it a big audience, it's the biggest audience of the year other than the Super Bowl. Is the biggest television audience of the year.
And it's worldwide, it's global.
And it's global, and it's worldwide, but most importantly, it is a targeted audience. It's because you got Super Bowl, you can have everybody from every walk of life who likes every different thing watching the Super Bowl. Oscars, you got people who like movies. But there are a lot of people who don't even watch movies, they'll tune into the Oscars. But you got people who watch movies. That makes that advertising spot extra lucrative for people. And I don't think they're going to have a hard time selling out those spots. But you raised the biggest point, Rob. You brought up the most important thing, which is, regardless of what network the Oscars are on, if it's on a Viacom network or whether it's on a Disney network, they're going to advertise Warner Brothers films. They're going to advertise whatever. And because of that, I won't be surprised at all if Netflix films are allowed to do it. Is it fair if they don't allow them? Absolutely, it's fair. I think it's 100% fair that they don't allow Netflix to advertise. But I kind of side with you on this, Rob. I think they will. I think there's precedent for it. I think you're absolutely right about that.
Also, I think the Oscars is an exception because it's a celebration of all cinema.
Yeah.
You've got, of course, we give out a foreign film award, and it really is a celebration of movies as an art form. And I think in that case, they could make a justification to their shareholders or anybody that might get mad that, look, this is about the movies. And maybe one day Netflix will have the rights to put out the Oscars and things are going to be different.
Yep.
I mean, in this case, I think there's a solidarity with the art of cinema. That's what the Oscars are about. And that's kind of the point. So I think that, if The Irishman is up for an Oscar, maybe they'll say, see The Irishman only on Netflix or something. And I think they're going to have to allow it. Otherwise, there's going to be an outcry.
I don't care about an outcry. It is what it is. But I think it would be fair if they don't allow them, but I think they will. Question is, what do you guys think? Did you think it would be fair for them not to allow Netflix to advertise? But the second question is, do you think they will allow Netflix to advertise? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.